Hi everyone, and you are welcome to Introduction to Classes and Objects lecture. Now, and after we have understood what a class is and what an object is, let's learn how to define our first class in Python. I'll start this lecture by giving a formal definition for both a class and an object. Then, I'll show you class syntax in order to understand how we can define a class in Python. Then we will see how we can create an object from this class, and I'll end up this lecture by a quick summary. So let's get started. In the previous lecture, we have understood what a class is, but now I want to give you a formal definition for the class. Simply, we can say class is just a new data type, blueprint, or prototype, which has attributes and methods. So the class is the umbrella, which below we will find attributes and methods. And we see an example about this, the bank account class. Once we have this blueprint or prototype, we should be able to create as many copies we want. So we call them copies, instances, or the formal word to be used in this context, object. So object is just an actual instance of a class which has real values for the class attributes and can call the methods of that class. And we see an example about this, John Smith bank account. Now let's see how we can do this in Python. In order to create a new class in Python, we use the keyword class. And after this, we give our class a name and then colon. And now because I don't want to add any methods or attributes, I will use the keyword pass. So it's quite straightforward and we just use the reserved keyword class for this purpose. And I want to say, please don't forget the colon. It's quite important to use colon after the class name. Otherwise, the interpreter will throw a syntax error. Now we have a class, its name class name, and we are ready to create an object or an instance from this class. In order to do that, simply, first of all, you have to give a name for your object. And as you see here, I choose the name class obj. Then you will use assignment operator, which is equal. And after this, you will use the class name in order to define an object. And then we use parentheses. So it's a very simple process to create an object from a class. Now let's move to Jupyter Notebook in order to see a real example using Python programming language. First, let me assume that I want to create a class for a student. So how to do that? Simply, I'll use the keyword class, and look now its color is green because it's a reserved keyword in Python. Then I will name my class student, colon, and I'll say pass. Once I run, this type will be defined inside the interpreter. Very simple process. And be careful here, when I give my class a name, I'll use the camel case standard. This is just a convention and it's better to respect this convention in order to make your code more readable for other developers. In camel case, we make the first letter of each word a capital letter and we don't use any underscore between two words. Like for example, if I want to say new student, so here there is no underscore between new and student. Okay, great. Now I have a class. Let's see how I can create an object from that class. Very simple process. I will say new student. So I'll give my object a name and I choose here new student to be the name. Then I will create an object using the class name. Once I run, no syntax error, no errors at all, because this will work 100%. And now you have an object from the class student inside the variable new student. And look here, when I give the variable a name, I don't use camel case. I use another standard in which all the words are small letter and I use underscore between two words. Now let's check together the type of this variable. In order to know the type for any variable in Python, we use the function type. So I will print the type of new student. Run. You will see that the type is from the class student. So we understand from this that in this simple code, I am able to define a new type and I am able to create instances from these types. And that's all for this code session. Now let's recap what it has been covered in this lecture. Mainly, in this lecture, we have learned how to create a class in Python. And simply we use the class keyword for that and then we give our class a name. And after that, we see how we can create an object from this class, which is a straightforward process in which we use the class name to create that object. And as usual, I say, don't forget the colon after the class name. That's all for this lecture, my friend. Now please refer to the lecture resources in order to find some challenges to practice what you have learned so far in this lecture. Thank you very much for your time, and if you are available, join me in the next lecture.